His address is the first since hundreds of his supporters stormed the parliament building on Saturday. Protesters are still occupying the complex, and Sadr urged them to continue with their sit-in until the demands are met. Sadr's bloc won the most seats in Iraq's elections last year, but political deadlock has left the country without an elected government since then.
I am not willing to engage in dialogue. We have tested dialogue with them before and gained nothing but corruption and havoc. Despite their empty promises and gestures, promises have not been fulfilled. I will not approve of bloodshed, but reform cannot be achieved without sacrifice.
Dorsa Jabari joins us now from Baghdad. And Dorsa, the expectation had been that there would eventually have to be some sort of negotiated agreement on this. But did Muqtada al-Sadr completely rule that out tonight?
Certainly, Miriam. The Shia leader, very defiant and determined and standing his ground. He put to rest all speculations that were ongoing here over the past few days, that there was a lot of behind-the-scenes meetings taking place, and that eventually he would join a dialogue process. But certainly that is not going to happen. As he said, what is critical now is whether or not the various other factions within the government will accept his call. There is no really functioning government at the moment after the elections that were held last October, since Muqtada al-Sadr instructed his MPs, 73 of them, to withdraw in June. The country has been in limbo. So the question now is whether the other sides will accept the fact that there should be another election held. The next process that would come is the Speaker of Parliament would have to basically dissolve Parliament, and then they will have to announce new elections. It is unclear what the other side that will be involved in this will have to say in the coming hours. We'll have to wait and see. But certainly Muqtada al-Sadr standing his ground, urging these protesters to continue what he calls is a peaceful revolution that will eventually, hopefully, get their demands met.
And how is this political crisis affecting Iraqis?
Well, in a country that's already suffering a lot in terms of infrastructure and much needed rebuilding, the current government hasn't been formed. That means there hasn't been a new budget for the year 2022, which means all the oil revenues that has been pouring into this country are not being spent. Iraq is, of course, OPEC's second largest producer of oil. They produce 4.5 roughly million barrels of oil, and they have oil revenues of about $11 billion a month. They just broke a record of sales in June, the highest number sales in oil revenues in the country's 50-year history. They sold roughly $11.6 billion of oil, and they haven't been able to really reap the benefits. The ordinary Iraqis we've been speaking to say they are tired of all these politicians and their back and forth and their divisions. They just want to see their country back on its feet and the infrastructure to be funded properly so they can get on with their daily lives.